I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
The boys are back in town, the boys are back in town. That's all I got. Woo! So stoked that what an episode this is going to be. We are talking about Amazon Prime's The Boys. If you haven't seen it, better check it out.
Satire in the comic book genre. We see it every once in a while. Watchmen was an example of what happens when superheroes become assholes. Batman vs. Superman asked the question, do we need a Superman?
On this person, we have international law. On this earth, every act is a political act.
The Boys are more of what happens when superheroes become a business.
A good time to be in the superhero business. Nubian Prince. Fits your population's demo, but not too militant. Caucasians love him too, with a 59% approval rate.
I'm in full support of women and their ongoing bravery in speaking out.
A crime itinerary?
Yep, where and when to find the bad guy.
I like to do my own investigating.
And that is why we love you. But it's not coming from us. It's corporate. To protect you. What if you nab the wrong person? There's liability to consider.
I'm sorry. Let me start that over. I'm in full support of women and their ongoing bravery.
I'll always protect you.
Your little hero will never be afraid with the Junior Homelander cuddle.
Fuck, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's just cut. I'm sorry.
Scene take two, Alpha Mark.
Back in Des Moines, I always patrolled alone.
And that is why we love you. But we see at least a 23% uptick in social media mentions and hero hashtags when there's a team up. People love a team up.
Aren't I innocent until proven guilty?
When you're in the big leagues, you flip it.
Starlight, I hope you can forgive me.
It's harder to sell.
To sell it, yeah?
It's a little hard.
Perfect, let's do that. Speaking out, we can all become stronger by listening. What?
Nope, that last clip does not apply.
Yeah, what a fantastic show, and what a time to finally have a show like this. Daredevil, rest in peace. And Watchmen, supposed to be airing pretty soon on HBO. But The Boys is kind of in the same vein to Watchmen, has that same type of feel, very realistic. Completely took me by surprise. Pretty much every episode, there was something that you don't expect to happen. One thing that you may think to yourself, oh, this is exactly what's going to happen. I know how this is going. And then boom, it's fantastic. It's much needed when you have these different types of TV shows like a Supergirl, for example, or a Flash or an Arrow, or that are more family friendly, that are more aimed towards maybe a younger audience, possibly.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Boys is completely for the family. Just slide them right in front of the screen, get them a full facial of The Boys.
All right.
You fucking cocksuckers.
What does The Boys really represent? If anybody doesn't know, it actually is a comic. From the little bit of research that I did off to the side about the comic, this actually is more of its own story. It takes some of the characters, it adopts some things, but it's actually vastly different than the comics so far. We'll see what happens with season 2. And as of this point, it actually has quite a different story. Something about the comic book genre that needs a pick-me-up, something that we've been preaching about forever, that we were hoping with the Joker. And then here's The Boys. It's something I didn't even know was coming out. I didn't have any clue what it was. I didn't know it was a comic series. I never saw a trailer. I just had a person at work telling me, hey, there's this thing on Amazon Prime with Carl Urban in it. It sounds awesome. And I'll be honest, when I first saw it, the very first scene where Queen Maeve and Homelander are there, and Homelander chucks one of the bad guys and he goes flying who knows the where for a while, and then lands down on a car hood and he turns around and smiles. At first I was like, oh god damn it, this is one of these shows that, yeah, superheroes can kill as long as they smile. Was I so wrong? It only takes about 10 more minutes as you get through it, but holy shit, does The Boys kick it up a notch in the satire department when it comes to superheroes.
The news, people would be screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, look, there might be the odd mention of it now and again, like with Robin, but there's a fuck sight more that happens that just gets swept right under the rug.
Why?
Ain't it obvious? Movie tickets, merchandising, theme parks, video games, a multi-billion-dollar global industry supported by corporate lobbyists and politicians on both sides. But the main reason that you won't hear about it is because the public don't want to know about it. See, people love that cozy feeling that Super's given. Some golden cunt to swoop out the sky, save the day, so you don't go and do it yourself.
They pretty much flip the genre upside down and pretty much expose everybody when it comes to it in a very glorious way.
Our new movie, Insurrection, it's really exciting. It's my first movie with in the VOT cinematic universe, the VCU. I
had the same amount of information going into this as Matt. I didn't really know that it was a comic book series until after I watched this first season. And one of the cool things Matt touched on as well, The Boys is almost like an old school type marketing approach of just word of mouth. There was no marketing push. I never saw a trailer, just saw some people talking about it. I was like, that seems kind of interesting. Then I go to work and everyone's like, hey, have you seen The Boys? Hey, have you seen The Boys? And one of my coworkers, I don't know why, but he did not have Amazon Prime up until about a week ago. I don't know what generation he's from, but he finally got Amazon Prime, and that was the first show that he watched. It had a very just word of mouth approach of, hey, you got to check out this show. I think the first season was built out so well. Has its moments that are pretty fast paced, but it builds up incredibly well, and then you get kind of a nice little
release.
I'm sorry.
So not only does The Boys take a new approach to the comic book genre with satire, and again, I love movies that have satire. Last Action Hero, Airplane, and there's a difference between satire and parody. This is taking the genre and kind of turning it upside down. If you watch anime, One Punch Man is a satire of the Shonen Jump series. Those type of shows I always find fascinating because you have so much creativity going into them, because you obviously have to watch all these different properties, all these different things to make fun of them in some sense, or point out how pretentious or how over the top some of these characters are, like the Deep, like Homelander, like Queen Maeve. Obviously they represent the Seven, which is pretty much Justice League if you can't figure that out for the most part.
Yep, almost a direct ripoff.
Characters, I mean, the Deep is the biggest Aquaman ripoff. They were able to put in their own interpretation, and of course it's a complete mock of Aquaman. Before Jason Momoa, this is how people pictured Aquaman, as the dumbass that tries to save dolphin, fucks up saving lobsters and shit like that.
Yeah. Oh, I've felt for that lobster.
I'm not sure which is funnier, the lobster or the dolphin scene.
Oh, the dolphin? Yeah.
That is the point that the director, the writer, everybody is trying to point out to you, is how ridiculous this shit really is. How ridiculous superheroes in general really are. As much as we love them, as much as we want to see some form of adaptation of these characters in live action, at the same time, we gotta always remember how ridiculous superheroes are. And The Boys puts the icing on top of the cake, and I truly recommend it to anybody. We've tried to bounce around and not spoil too much. Honestly, I don't know how many people have actually seen this, so I want people to see it. Obviously, we don't want to spoil too much for this show. We want you to go see it. There's obviously a tone that they're trying to portray here, and I can't see anybody not liking this show, other than maybe some people just not liking either the mild nudity or some shit like that. But here at Comic Book Marks, we love mild sex. In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.